All right, so I wanted to take a second and talk about what happened with Athens, and at least give my 2 cents on it. A lot of people had asked questions, and I think in the internet in general, there's always a lot of assumption and blaming and all. I mean, there's so much that's being said on the internet all the time. It blows my mind. A lot of it is just white noise, and like you just kind of train yourself to not listen to it. And then some of it, I feel like is good to at least talk about it. So Athens Archery, if you do not know, they closed down. They closed their doors last week, let's say. And it's not necessarily a secret. Bowtech sued Athens Archery for, I guess, a patent infringement on the tuning system. So the deadlock tuning system from Bowtech, the ACCU system from Athens, which is new. And I'm gonna give this a couple different perspectives here. As a human, I have empathy for not just Tracy and Jim, but the employees that work in the factory, the bow shop owners who probably recently picked up Athens Archery because they were making some fucking sweet bows, and the consumers who were their loyal fans, you know, and consumers. I have empathy for all of them. I don't, you don't want to see people go down like that, especially who put as much passion and effort into something, which they did. You can clearly just tell from when they started the company to when they ended up closing their doors, like the jumps that they made, they were making some really cool stuff and some awesome bows. If you haven't seen the reviews on them, go check them out. They're really cool. And a lot of them are still in circulation. So, I mean, I still have one. I mean, I absolutely love the bows and the products that they were putting out. So I have empathy for them. Okay, I feel bad for everybody in that situation. That sucks. Don't want to ever see anybody go down like that. As a hunter's perspective, I have said this several times. As hunters, we want there to be as much competition as possible. Okay, so creativity comes from like passion and pressure. So we want them being creative, innovative, putting the pressure on each other. The more companies, the better. The more options that you have as a hunter, and the better prices. You know, like we'll keep the prices down. Like I've said before, we're seeing these price gaps being filled by Darton and Prime Ronin, and you know, so there'll be a bigger, wider range of prices and price options for each hunter, and then the products themselves, they will keep each other accountable. That roof will keep rising with the innovativeness and technology. We want there to be more companies, so I hate that as well, because I personally loved their bows, and I was really excited about maybe putting one in the field, which I guess I still can. Athens was always something I was looking forward to in the future. So from the perspective of a business owner, because I'm a business owner, okay, there's 2 different things. One, nobody understands how much effort and goes into owning your own business. I mean, the weekends never start, the hours never stop, my brain never turns off. I'm always working in a sense. Okay, so I know that Jim and Teresa were like around the clock, you know, working on their newest bow or latest project or invention or whatever. I also, as a business owner, I'm going to assume that nobody would put that much effort into something and not take the precautionary steps to prevent something like this from happening. Okay, so without even talking to Tracy and Jim, or before I talked to them, I kind of thought like, man, there's no way that they did not cross their T's and dot their I's when creating this patent, which is very similar to Bowtech's. Okay. And sure enough, after talking to them, they did. They kind of went through the whole process. It was 2 years in the making. The ACCU system has its own patent. You know, they even paid for lawyers and patent professionals to kind of like guide them through this process, making sure that that this wasn't going to happen. So then you come to like, why did it happen? And this is the other side of business that is people just don't realize. It's a little dirty. Business is about taking money from your pocket and putting it into my pocket. That's all it is. Now, along the way, if you can help people, you know, I think it will benefit your business, the relationships that you build forever, for sure. But in the end, it's about money. And I think Bowtech made a decision about money. They knew they had the resources to bankrupt Athens. You know, so whether the system was a patent infringement or not, I think they knew what they were doing. I think they sued, knowing that Athens couldn't fight. You know, it's like David versus Goliath, you know, knowing that Athens didn't have the funds to fight, and they knew that eventually they were just going to bankrupt them. And again, from a business owner standpoint, it's like, do you agree with it or not? It doesn't really matter. It is what it is. Do I think they knew what they were doing? Yes, for sure. Do I think Tracy and Jim took the steps that they thought they needed to prevent this from happening? Yeah, I do. I truly do. I don't think anybody would voluntarily sacrifice their company and their efforts and their passion, like all their money that they put into this new venture of theirs, and just like sacrifice it all on a whim and be like, I hope they don't notice. You know, it's like, no, I think they noticed that it was similar and they took the steps that they thought they needed to take. Was it enough? Obviously not. Or maybe it was enough, and that's just how our legal systems work. If you just have the most money, you pretty much just, over time, you're gonna wear the other business down and wear them out and drain them of their resources. Now, as a reviewer, yeah, they're fucking really similar. Okay, it's the first thing I said in my review. You know, this is very similar. It's a very similar system. You're sliding the cam back and forth on an axle. Now, how it slides, the whole system together, the mechanism, I don't have those patents, I don't know, but it seemed very similar. So I guess that's a risk in itself. To speak on to Tracy and Jim's character, yeah, I think they have great character. I've loved working with both of them. They've been wonderful people to me. They've been extremely nice, cooperative. I think everybody I've talked to that owns in Athens kind of gets that same personal feedback and response, and they get taken care of. That was kind of like something that they really stood by, is taking care of the consumers that purchased Athens bows. So as people, yeah, I think they're great people. I think they made a risk, but that's what also business is. You make these risks. And if nothing would have came of this, I mean, I think Athens would have been one of the best bow companies eventually. I mean, they were on their way to like something great without a doubt. That Axis 32 is just one of my favorite bows of the year. It was absolutely awesome. Just absolutely loved it. And people like them, you could tell they're just compounding. So eventually, yeah, they would have got to an unbelievable place. So it's sad to see that happen. You know, I want to hear what you guys think too. I know everybody has an opinion on these kind of things. So leave it in the comments. I love feedback and I love interaction. I like hearing other people's opinions. Obviously, if you're just going to be a fucking asshole, you know, stay out of the comments. But if you have some insight or a position on all of this that's worth sharing, do it. You know, and I always read them, so I'd love to hear it. And I try to respond to as many as I can. This is the first video like this I've made of, but we also got a ton of questions of how we felt about it, what really happened. And I think being able to talk to Tracy and Jim and get them on the phone and kind of get their side of the story, I felt like it was worth sharing. So hopefully hopefully it brings a little bit more clarity to the whole situation. It sucks to see an awesome bow company like Athens go down, especially the way that it happened. See you next time.